for tuning into the talk show. I am Andra Hedden, and I'm here with Heather, the lovely director of content at Marketopia. Today, we are going to be talking about inbound marketing. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And so, as you know, there's a lot of differences between inbound and outbound marketing. They're two very important strategies when it comes to business. We're going to dig into inbound marketing today, and main reason is that a stat we love here at Marketopia, inbound marketing is 61% less expensive than outbound marketing. So kick us off and tell us what inbound marketing even is.
Absolutely. So the beauty of inbound marketing is that really what you're doing is pulling leads into your business instead of going out to look for them. So it's going to be a lot less work for you because you're just putting things out there that are so awesome that people feel like they have to come check you out instead of having you sort of pull them in.
Absolutely. So they are choosing through that content development to engage with your business.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to inbound, we do a lot of talking about really three categories and strategies, right? You want to attract the clients or prospects, right? You make sure that they're engaging with whatever that content is or whatever it is that you're putting out there to them to engage with. And then we want to delight them, right? So talk me through maybe each of those categories and how we actually execute well on them in B2B marketing. So start off with attract.
Yeah, so the key for attracting is really just about getting the content out there in some way. So you want to know where your audience is hanging out. You want to find a lot of different routes to attract them. So as long as you're out there talking about what you have to say and really putting really good content out there, you're gonna find them. You're gonna start attracting them in, and then next up, you want to keep them engaged. So once you're ready to keep them engaged, you want to make sure that content you're putting out has real value for them. So talking about things that they really care about, talking about them in a way that makes sense to them, making sure you're explaining what they need to know, making sure they really understand the problems you're solving for them. And then when it comes to delight, I feel like that's a whole other level, right? And I think that's the thing that's really fun for us as marketers, of course, is that we get to play in that delight field. And I think the key for delight there is to really just be wrapping it all up in a beautiful package. So not only are you reaching out to them on the platforms where you find them, not only are you giving them the information they really need, but you're doing it in a way that feels really fresh and really exciting and really gives them some content that they really feel like they can play with.
Absolutely. And to dig even a little deeper into the attract, a lot of the conversations that we have, obviously being in the channel and B2B and really trying to help facilitate whether you're a vendor trying to expand your channel or an MSP trying to actually find net new prospects in your markets. Attracting is really where the strategy starts off on the right foot. So with that attraction, right, we got to make sure that we're you mentioned making sure you are where your prospects are, right? So when you're attracting, give me some examples of where you would suggest that any of the MSPs or vendors that are listening right now, where should they go, right? We always talk about attraction as being, make sure you've got the right bait for the fish that you're going after and make sure that you're fishing in the right place, right? So us in Florida, we understand that analogy, but it's important, right?
Yeah.
So where should they go to attract?
So when it comes to where you need to be, there are a lot of different pieces to it. So some of it is your own property. So, on your website, making sure that you're saying the things you need to say, making sure that you're thinking about things like SEO and really optimizing the things you're talking about so that when your audience is out there looking for you, they're going to find you. But a lot of it is also about social media, getting really out there on all the social media platforms, understanding the differences between the platforms. So, knowing that LinkedIn is the place where you're going to go to talk about really formal, more business content, and knowing that on Twitter or on Facebook or even on Instagram, then you've got an opportunity to talk more about who you are as a business, bringing in the culture. The other really important place you can go to is to play in event spaces or in networking spaces. So knowing where they're literally physically hanging out and making sure you're there and sort of getting that brand awareness going helps sort of bring them in even when you're not talking specifically about like digital content.
Definitely. And I think that the piece you were just mentioning about making sure when it comes to the associations or the communities that these prospects of the businesses are playing in, it's important. So if you're a vendor out there looking for where MSPs are living, you're going to go to the best events. You're going to make sure that you are in the best communities. You're on the best Reddit forums. You're in the Facebook groups that matter. You're going where the fish in a barrel are. Now, on the other side of it, where we're talking about if MSPs or technology solution providers are really looking to be where their clients are, there's some neat things that I know you and I talk about all the time that you can go to industry specific forums. You can go if you've got a big HIPAA play and you're in medical, or you can go to obviously your local chamber. You can go and make sure that you are a part of a lot of these reach out or connect groups that get together, and make sure you've got sales reps there if it's not you there, and making sure that you're physically engaging, but then also that you are putting out content into those places too, so that they can engage on their own and come back to you in that way. You touched on SEO a lot as well. Dig into that a little bit more for those that might not care as much about that strategy, or I know we've also got partners that maybe haven't looked at their site in the last year. So why is SEO so important?
Sure. So SEO, search engine optimization, this is all about making sure that the literal words that you're using when you're creating your content are the things your people are searching for. So, we know our space, we know what we want to talk about, we know what our businesses do, but we don't always know the way that people are looking for us. So, we may be a managed service provider providing security, and maybe it's in a really niche part of what we do, and so maybe we're putting a bunch of content out there that's talking about managed security services for legal, but maybe no one in the legal field is getting on Google and typing in managed security services for legal. So understanding more about the specific way they're looking for you is really what you're doing there. So making sure that you understand the right keywords and getting those into your content, so that when they go searching for you, they're going to find exactly what they're looking for.
Definitely. And then when it comes to that engaging piece, so if we've got that first piece out of the way, so attracting, we've got sticky content out there, we've got things that are pertinent for the time, whether it's time of year, whether it's things that are going on. Anytime there is an opportunity to engage with content or inbound marketing, take advantage of it. So if something just happened, maybe it was a breach that just happened, or maybe it was a hurricane that went through a specific area, jump out and get content out there that people are already going to be searching for. How do I protect my business from a breach? How do I do this? And make sure that they're riddled with the right keywords and content. Now, when it comes to that engaging piece, so step one, get someone to actually find what I've put out there, get them to hopefully look for items and that connection in place. Now, engaging. So talk to me about CTAs that would be great to have out there to get people to want to engage.
Sure. So, I think CTAs are an interesting thing because it's always a balance, right? Because you want to be making sure that whatever your call to action is, whether you're asking them to click a button, whether you're asking them to give you a call, whatever that is, you want to make sure that they know what they're getting, especially on a digital platform. If somebody's going to click a button, you want to make it clear enough that they understand where they're going. So, if it's going to take them to a call, whatever that is. But I think CTAs are overlooked a little bit because I think that there's actually a lot of power in them to get people excited. So I think they're also a way to really get people engaged in what you're talking about, make them really see. You've set up, let's say you're on a website, something like that. You've set up the content, you've let them know why they should care, what the problem is, how you might be able to help them, and that call to action is sort of your last chance to be able to say to them, hey, this is really going to get you where you want to go. So I think the power of the CTAs there is really to convince them that this is the right path.
And when it comes to paths, so something that's obviously very important, and we won't go too deep on it on this talk show, but it's important to note is these paths. So there are actual, obviously, inside of your marketing automation systems, if you are using one, you set up these nurture paths of marketing deliverables. And so once someone starts to engage and it's an inbound lead with some sort of a content piece or deliverable that you've put out there, some sort of an asset, now you can track their engagement, and now you've put them on a path of engagement as well. So based on those CTAs, based on the habitual nature of what they're doing and not doing, you're going to drip different items to them. So if you're not using a tool, I absolutely suggest that you do. There are some really easy to use ones out there. If you have questions about it, call us. We'll walk you through ones that we suggest you use and help you on any way that we can. But it's so important to know the content nurture track that you're putting someone on, and then two, to see what call to actions are working and aren't working. So if you've got something out there that you're seeing a really high return on and you're going, wow, this is really what someone is searching for, and they really love downloading this PDF on why something is important, or getting information in such a specific way that will allow you to see what people are caring about, what prospects are caring about when they're reaching out to you. So that's definitely important. Now, talk to me a bit about, too, when it comes to that engagement piece and it comes to the information that the business is asking for from the prospect. What's important to know and to capture?
Sure. So that's actually a great question. So, when you are getting that information from your clients, from your prospects, when you're bringing them in, you've got them, already attracted. Now you're looking to engage them. You really want to make sure you know enough about them that you can keep them on those paths. So you want to know, obviously, things like name, business name, email, are sort of like absolute, must-haves no matter what. And then beyond that, you want to get as much more information as you can around things like what their business is like, what kind of business do they have, what problems are they trying to solve, anything else that you can bring in from an information perspective that can help you understand more about who they are. Because like you touched on the paths, I think that's a really nice segue into then more of that delight section, because once you've got them on the right path, then you've got them in a place where you know that you're continuously going to be serving them up content that keeps giving them value. So you're going to keep offering up more and more assets, services, solutions that continue to reinforce to them that you have something that can really help them. And even if it's just information, even if it's not a service or a solution.
And in our B2B world, in this channel world, it's somewhere upwards of, you can see stats that say 25 touches, 27 touches before someone even reaches out or before they become a closed deal. It depends. But it is so important that there are those pieces getting out there for them to come and be an inbound lead. Inside of that engagement piece, I'll mention just really quickly because it's so important with any business that we deal with, and we often have these conversations when it comes to the data that you're bringing in. So data is your currency. That is, you need to know who you're talking to. You need to make sure that everyone's on the right lists for anything. You need to make sure that when they're coming inbound to you versus your outbound, when they're coming in, that you're collecting the right information, and you don't have to collect everything on the first try. So you can ask questions in those forms or whatever it is, and maybe the first few things are ungated, and then they're coming back, and then you start gating things, or vice versa, depending on what you're really trying to attract, and making sure that you're getting the right information, and that information is canned and taken back into your CRM so you have it forever. So a lot of you are obviously using your PSA tools and making sure that you're collecting all this information, housing it, so then you can use it for dynamic content in the future. So talk to me about delight. So what are we looking for when it comes to delighting clients?
Sure. So
or prospects too.
I think when you're looking at the delight part of it, what you really want to do is surprise them. You want to give them something that makes them feel like you get them in a way that nobody else ever has. So this is about a lot of different things when it comes to delight. You want to have a good idea of your buyer persona. You want to understand who you're talking to, and not just from a high level. If you're an MSP and you're looking for, we mentioned, legal practices. If you're looking for legal practices, you want to know how big they are. You want to know, who you're talking to in there. Are you aiming to talk to their CEO? Or are you aiming to talk to maybe someone on their IT team? Who's going to be the best person for you to talk to? Because the more you understand about who they are as a business and who those specific people are that you're talking to, the better you're going to be able to dig into exactly how you can help them.
And connect with them so that they know what they're talking about.
And then the more you connect with them, the more you could just continuously reinforce that you get them in this really deep way, the more they're going to feel like it's a conversation. And as soon as you can sort of flip that switch so that it no longer feels like a marketing effort and it feels like a real conversation, that's where the delight really comes into play, because they are going to feel so invested in their conversations with you that really other competitors are going to sort of start to fade away pretty quickly. I think another part of it too, obviously, is continuous content. So you're going to want to have things out there in every possible way, covering social media, covering blog posts, updating website content, making sure you're constantly SEO optimizing, because those search terms can change over time.
Absolutely.
So it's really a lot of work, honestly. I mean, I think the average person, if they're really doing inbound marketing right, is probably investing 30 plus hours a week in really doing this the right way and getting the content out there. 4 blog posts a month, 20-ish LinkedIn posts a month.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many, if someone's watching this right now, what does that magical number look like? I know we get asked that all the time, okay, how many should I do? I put out 1 blog, nothing's happening. So what are some good stats that you can throw out?
So, I mean, the honest answer is the more the better, for the most part. So it's a little bit less true on social media sometimes. There are some times when you can get a little too much on social. Yeah, there's a balance between being informative and being obnoxious. But, for blog posts, I would say bare minimum, it's going to be 4 a week for anybody who's really trying to drive like a consistent inbound marketing funnel. For social media, it's probably, like I said, for LinkedIn, it's probably about 20 posts a month. You want to keep it feeling professional. For Twitter, because it's such a conversation, that's going to depend a lot on the kind of engagement you're getting. So it can be anywhere from 3 or 4 tweets a day to 20 or more, just depending on what's happening. I would say bare minimum is probably 3 or 4. And then as you're seeing engagement, you're going to want somebody really owning that engagement and putting more of that out there. In terms of in terms of Facebook, I think it's probably kind of in the middle there, because that's, again, more of that community feel. It's more of that fun, getting to know your business and your culture. So you're going to want to start at 5 or 6 Facebook posts a week, and
Okay.
then up from there
Build
for
from there.
engagement. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a lot. Like I said, generally speaking, I would say it's probably 30-ish hours a week of
Right.
work to really getting even just that baseline in. And in terms of results, it takes a while because inbound marketing is really, we've got to make that time to bring them in to cover that attraction piece. You got to start getting them engaged, and then, like you mentioned, tons and tons of touches before you're really starting to see anything close. On averages, I think businesses take probably about a year to start seeing real solid results from inbound marketing. There are probably 80-something%, I think 84% is what HubSpot says, of businesses that see it in about 7 months, so a little less than a year, but those are the people who are doing everything right.
Yes.
They're touching all the bases.
Yes.
They're getting content out across all of the markets. They're doing everything the way they should.
Absolutely. And she's saying be patient is what that translates to.
Be patient.
So a lot of times we do get these questions, and they're valid questions. How long is it going to take before I'm seeing some sort of a return from this? What is the amount of touches that is the right amount of touches? And the reality is marketing is an investment, not an expense. And we have this conversation constantly in our business. We always say, nothing happens until a lead is generated. So a sales rep is twiddling their thumbs until a lead is generated. The only way to generate a lead is to go and market, right? So marketing is actually the first line of defense, and you got to market to generate those leads to then have the salesperson call out on them to then have it close, and so on and so forth. And so we've said clients a couple times in this too, and the reason for that is that you can't forget to continue to market to your clients and your referral partners. And so there's really 3 segments, right? Your prospects, your clients, and your referral partners that should be receiving this type of communication and interaction when it comes to marketing. The thing I think is important too to really touch on, and you mentioned it before, you said creating that value. So to gain that engagement, to be worthy of that information that you're going to gather from these inbound leads, you've got to make sure that you're providing value. So a quick and easy way that I like to think about this is whenever you are serving up any sort of a deliverable or an asset or something to somebody, you want to receive back a thank you, not a no thank you. So when you're giving that value, when you want someone reading, if they're reading a white paper, if they're reading a case study, if they're receiving something from you, at the end of that engagement, you want to thank you, like, wow, that's really valuable. I need to come back to this website more often, or I need to make sure that I'm liking or following them on social because they're actually giving me some really valuable information that I can help with my business. And no thank you is the piece that you don't want to receive. So no thank you is someone reads through something and are like, oh, that was bland, or that was a waste of my time, and they discount you. Yeah, they're saying the same thing everyone else is. So it's just an easy way to think about that. When you're putting any piece of content out there, if you were the person reading it, are you going to thank you, or are you going to say no thank you after you are finished with it? So I think that value is just so great. Huge, and making sure that every single piece of your day that you're spending investing, and that 30 hours that you're doing it for the right reasons, and that you're really creating that value for the prospect to see. So any last tips that you want to give anyone before we jump off?
I think I would say you've got to start simple with this. You absolutely don't need every piece of inbound marketing like in play right away. If this is the very first touch you've taken to inbound marketing and you're just getting started, you don't have to do it all at once. You don't have to start immediately producing 20 LinkedIn posts a week and 4 blog posts.
Because it can get overwhelming, and that's where everyone says, oh, it's too much. No. So
every little piece works. So every little bit you do is just going to work with the rest of it and do more and more and get you better and better results. So obviously, absolutely number one, like we said, be patient, because this is going to take some time. And then set some really smart goals. Make sure that you know exactly what you're looking for. Be very clear about what kind of goals you'd like to see from your inbound marketing. How many leads are you looking for? Where would you like them to come from? And then you've got to just really track those metrics. Make sure you understand exactly who's coming from where. If you start seeing a ton of engagement on your LinkedIn posts, but no one's ever talking to you on Twitter, drop Twitter for a while, bulk up your LinkedIn posts and see what happens. If you see that people are reading your blog posts, but no one's commenting or sharing, all right, you're getting that attract piece down, but then you're losing them in engagement somewhere, and definitely falling short on delight. So start changing up your topics, play with your CTAs, do things like that to sort of get a better feel for it. So
absolutely, I think that is wonderful advice, and I think that you're right. Every little bit counts, and it's okay to really succeeding at a lot of engagements. It's okay to fail also when you try things and you realize, oh, that didn't really settle well with the audience, or no one's really engaging with that. And so thank you so much for adding in some strategy and some thoughts and giving your expertise to our viewers. So thank you for tuning into the talk show, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks.